A young mother's death plunges her family into tragedy.
They found her body floating in the Hudson River.
And we just all broke down. It was just unbelievable.
I still can't comprehend what happened.
We didn't see no blood, we didn't see no injuries.
They thought this was a suicide.
Is there more to this story than meets the eye?
Slowly but surely, things started coming out.
Solving the mystery will send detectives deep into the past, where they uncover a long-buried secret.
The remains were badly decomposed.
He was going to get away with murder again.
Oh my God, it was crazy.
April 3rd, 2005, 7:30 a.m. Although the day has just begun, Manhattan's Chelsea Pier is already bustling with activity.
There's a lot of people running and cycling up the side of it. There's a lot of boats going there.
They have daily cruises that'll take you around the Statue of Liberty, around the Island of Manhattan.
But this Sunday morning, deckhands prepping for the day's first cruise spot something unusual in the water.
Do you see that? Oh my God.
It appears to be a young woman floating face down in the water.
She was fully clothed.
They're not sure if she was alive or dead. They just wanted to get her out of the water.
Harry, get the pole. Let's get her out.
So they have like a long pole with a hook. They were able to grab her and bring her to the pier.
Once the woman is out of the water, the deckhands make another horrifying discovery.
She was obviously very pregnant.
But there may still be time to save the young mother.
And she's still warm. Miss, can you hear me? Miss! Go call 911.
It was pretty chilly and the water was cold, so they didn't think she was in that water that long. They just said, let's try to maybe do CPR or try to revive her. And then they called 911.
One of them starts CPR while the other one goes to call for help.
Moments later, paramedics arrive.
What do we got? She just found her. Take her. Water.
Paramedics came and they worked on her for about 40 minutes.
But there is nothing they can do.
They just could not save her.
They are able to identify the woman.
During the initial search of the body, they came up with an ID, a military ID.
It appears the woman is 33-year-old Lisa Eatman.
Lisa had her license or her ID in her pocket, which is how they were able to identify her.
So how did this mother-to-be end up dead on Chelsea Pier?
She's so young and healthy, and there isn't a mark on her. It just didn't make sense.
Growing up in Philadelphia, Lisa Spate always lit up the room with her bright and sunny attitude.
When Lisa was around, if you were down, you became up. Because she was just so bubbly to the point where sometimes you're like, Lisa, just stop being so nice. But that was Lisa.
It was very interesting to be around Lisa because you knew that whatever you were going through that day, once you got around her, that smile and that dimple, it was all over with. She was just goofy and silly and just made a joke out of everything.
She was very genuine. She was the type of person, like, when you talked to her and when you connected with her, like, you would be a lifelong friend with her.
Lisa was that type of person that dared to be different, especially since she made a lot of her own outfits. She was very stylish, but it wasn't like everybody else was buying this particular style. No, she had to make her own.
During high school, Lisa continued to blaze her own trail. And after high school, the 18-year-old set out to see the world.
She was like, I'm just going to join the army. I'm going to, go all over the country, see different things. And she just figured she'd figure out things there.
She was very adventurous. She didn't want to sit in an office all day.
While the army took Lisa as far away as South Korea, it also gave her skills and training for the future.
She started getting into computers. She loved fixing computers, working on computers. The family was definitely proud of Lisa and all the success that she made while she was in the army. Yeah, everybody was proud of her.
Lisa also found happiness with a fellow soldier named Noah Eatman.
They were both stationed in Texas. He's from Alabama. He comes from, a mother, two-household family, pretty decent family.
They start dating, and very soon in the relationship, they wound up getting married.
Shortly after tying the knot, Lisa and Noah received some exciting news.
She was pregnant. She was happy. Lisa always wanted a family. The maternal instincts kicked in as soon as she got pregnant.
In 1993, Lisa and Noah welcomed their daughter Marcielle into the world.
Lisa became a pro at motherhood.
Lisa was a wonderful mom. Wonderful. She treated her as if not only a daughter, but as a little baby sister. She was very good to her daughter.
Unfortunately, just as Lisa and baby Marciel began to bond, she and Noah began drifting apart.
They wound up getting a divorce.
They got married quickly, rather young, and there just wasn't that spark anymore.
Soon after the divorce, Lisa left the Army.
She uses this time to sort of think about what she's going to do with the rest of her life, being a single mom with a daughter to take care of.
Lisa actually wound up back in Philadelphia with my dad and my stepmom. And she's just trying to figure out which direction she wants to go in.
In typical Lisa fashion, it wasn't long before she embarked on her next adventure.
She found a job working for this one company that worked on copier machines, fixing copiers. And that's when she decided to move to New York City.
By the late 90s, Lisa and her daughter settled into their new home in Brooklyn and never looked back.
She loved New York. She just took to it like she was a pro. She absolutely loved the fashion district. She could be her artistic, lovely self.
But as much as Lisa loved New York, her life there wasn't perfect.
She achieved everything she wanted in life, but she longed for someone to share it with.
Then, in 2001, when she least expected it, Lisa met a man who would change her life forever. 38-year-old Roscoe Glinton.
Roscoe was a sanitation worker. Her apartment was on his route, and she happened to be on the block when he was picking up garbage. He met her, and then they struck it up.
It didn't take long for their flirting to turn into a relationship.
He was a very amicable guy. He was easy to talk to.
While Lisa was initially attracted to Roscoe's charisma, it was his big heart and love of family that truly won her over.
He's a single dad. He's got 3 kids he's raising on his own.
His wife had died, and he was doing whatever he could to provide for his family.
Lisa was very taken by Roscoe.
Things began to get serious between Roscoe and Lisa.
She definitely had a good relationship with him. He was doing things for her.
It was a pretty strong relationship. She had a bond with him.
Though by the summer of 2004, after nearly 3 years of dating, the relationship seemed to have run its course.
The two of them start to realize that it's not really working out.
It's not so much an official split, but the relationship just gradually winds down.
But in August of 2004, not long after she and Roscoe had gone their separate ways, Lisa got some surprising news.
She was pregnant with Roscoe Glinton's child.
Though she was once again facing the prospect of being a single mom, Lisa was excited to start this new chapter in her life.
She was elated that she was pregnant. Lisa was definitely a strong personality as far as, yes, I can do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm definitely going to do this on my own.
However, as Lisa's pregnancy progressed, the idea of being closer to her family grew increasingly appealing.
Lisa was talking about moving back to Philadelphia to be with her parents and her family, for support from them.
What do you think about the name Jaden?
I love it.
Yes, me too.
Marciel was excited. She was about to have a baby brother. She was preparing. She couldn't wait for the baby to be born.
But now, just days before her due date, both Lisa Eatman and her unborn child are dead.
The breakfast crew getting ready for a cruise noticed a body in the water. They tried to revive her, but she was already dead.
When investigators arrive on the scene, they immediately set out to determine what happened to this young mother.
They look at her and they don't see any injuries on her, any signs of trauma or blood.
Which leads detectives to one conclusion.
They thought automatically that it was a suicide.
There's a lot of suicides in the Hudson. There's a lot of bodies found.
By April 2005, 33-year-old Lisa Eatman seemed overjoyed at the pending arrival of her second child.
It was a very exciting time in Lisa's life, between the baby coming, her working, and she's going in the right direction. I mean, she looked so happy and she just glowed.
She was due within the next few weeks, and as always with Lisa, she was excited for this next chapter.
She was looking forward to having her son. I think we all were.
But after Lisa's lifeless body is pulled from the Hudson River on the morning of April 3rd, detectives wonder if she was truly as excited as she'd led everyone to believe.
She really didn't have no bruise, nothing on her face or arms, no bleeding. We thought maybe it was a suicide.
Think she was a jumper?
Maybe. The current could have carried her down.
A lot of people jump off the George Washington Bridge further north.
If she thought she could have come up from uptown Inwood area, could have come down from the Lower East Side and travel around, depending on the tide of the water.
No matter where she came from, it doesn't appear that Lisa had been in the water for long.
One of the first things they notice is that the body is still warm to the touch.
It must have happened early that morning, between 3 to 6 o'clock.
Is it possible that Lisa, overwhelmed by the prospect of raising another child on her own, had taken her life in the pre-dawn darkness?
At this point, they know nothing about her. They needed more information to piece together what happened.
Hoping for some insight, Detective Tony Vega and his partner head to the Brooklyn address on Lisa's military ID, where a little girl answers the door.
I asked her, does Lisa Eatman live here? She goes, yes. I said, can I speak to your mother? She goes, that is my mother. And I go, oh boy.
Lisa's daughter, Marcielle Eatman, appears to be home alone.
Could we come inside?
No, Mom said to never let strangers into the house.
I said, how about if I call the police from my walkie-talkie? Have the police come in uniform? Will you feel comfortable that if I do that? And she said, yes. So I did that. I called on radio. I said, I need to sector the car from that precinct to come to the location, non-emergency.
Moments later, an officer arrives, and Marcielle quietly opens the door.
She let us in. The girl was very sweet.
Officers were very careful not to alert her to the fact that her mother had passed away, but they questioned her and tried to find out some information about Lisa.
I asked her, do you have a grandmother, grandfather, aunts, cousins that you know that lives around here? She said, no, my grandmother lives in Pennsylvania. My father, I believe, lives in California.
Is there any way we could get in touch with one of your other relatives?
I have a number for my aunt and uncle.
That's great. Could you write that down for us?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. I'll be right back.
I call, no answer. I left a message for them to call me.
While waiting for Lisa's family to return their call, detectives survey the apartment.
So everything was neat and clean. I see presents in the living room, stacked up. She must have had a baby shower not too long before that.
Detectives went into her mom's bedroom and saw her mom's purse on the bed, some of the contents just scattered about on the bed.
When was the last time that you saw your mother?
Last night we were watching TV and I fell asleep, and then when I woke up she wasn't there.
Is that unusual for her not to be there when you wake up in the morning?
Not on the weekends.
Her mother would go out and bring them back breakfast in the morning. So that when she didn't see her mother, she wasn't alarmed or scared. She said, oh, Mom must have went to get breakfast for us.
How's your mother seem lately? Does she seem happy?
Really happy. She's so excited about the baby.
Is the father around?
No, they broke up.
She told me that the father was Roscoe Glinton. I asked him how was he to her. She said he seemed nice. She hadn't seen him in a while.
Before Detective Vega can ask Marcielle any follow-up questions about Roscoe Glinton.
Oh, excuse me for a second. This is Anthony Vega. I have some bad news.
He said they found Lisa's body in the Hudson River, and I just screamed and dropped the phone.
Are you there? I'm so sorry.
Nobody knew what could have happened. At that point, we were all just stunned.
Upon hearing the awful news, Lisa's family tells police they'll come straight to New York.
With Lisa's family en route, the detectives take Marcielle into protective custody.
We told her you're too young to stay home alone, but she had to come back with us to the station house.
It's only when her family arrives at the police precinct that Marcielle learns the truth.
Marcielle didn't take it well at all. She didn't take it well.
She was just heartbroken about the news of her mother passing.
After consoling Lisa's daughter, the family sits down with detectives for an interview.
Police thought they were dealing with a suicide here, but they still wanted to get some information about her.
They tried to talk to her family about any problems that she might have had. Was she depressed, or did she have any mental issues that she was dealing with?
Lisa's family is adamant that she had no history of mental illness. And despite her recent breakup with Roscoe Glinton, Lisa was overjoyed about the impending birth of her son.
There was no way she would have committed suicide.
Everything was going very well for Lisa. She was glowing, looking forward to having a baby boy. She had just had the baby shower. She was ready.
What about the baby's father?
Roscoe?
Yes.
They broke up a while back.
And did that cause your sister any type of stress?
Not at all. She was looking forward to having this baby and taking care of her children.
Lisa didn't let anything like that bother her. She just kept on doing what she had to do for her daughter and for her unborn son.
There was no signs, nothing of suicide. She was just too happy with life. Too happy with life.
Maybe she'd been putting a brave face on things so the family wouldn't worry.
You never know what someone's going through behind closed doors. People can wear masks.
Detectives decide their next step is to reach out to Lisa's coworkers.
She saw these people every day. Perhaps they knew more than her family could.
Her coworkers said that she was pretty happy and nothing bad was going on.
Everybody loved that work. She's a very happy person. She came in, she lit up the room. A lovely woman.
She was already a single mother, and having one more child was good for her, she felt.
But if Lisa didn't take her own life, then what happened? When detectives received the autopsy report the following morning, they find the missing piece they're looking for.
The coroner finds a small bullet hole in the back of Lisa's head, and which means that she was shot and killed.
There was no exit wound, just an entry wound.
It was small caliber, and her hair was very heavy and thick. Her hair loaded up enough for it not to come out. That's why it was missed.
The discovery of the bullet and the location of the wound leads detectives to an inescapable conclusion.
So now this suicide case turns into a homicide investigation.
Barely 24 hours after Lisa Eatman's lifeless body was pulled from the Hudson River, New York City police detectives have classified her death as a homicide.
The police said it looked like a suicide. Pretty quickly, they realized it wasn't a suicide. When the medical examiner found a bullet hole in the back of her head.
But what led this loving young mother to such a violent end?
Lisa led a quiet, normal life. None of this made sense.
Detectives attempt to determine Lisa's movements after she left her 12-year-old daughter alone in the apartment on April 3rd.
We checked for surveillance throughout the whole neighborhood to see if we see her getting into a car, if we see her walking with someone. But we didn't see her.
When the surveillance footage fails to yield any useful information, detectives bring in the canine unit.
We tried to get a scent from Lisa, see which direction she left from the house and everything, but it came back, negative. It lost its scent after a couple blocks.
However, detectives are able to locate Lisa's car, parked across the street from the apartment.
The police discovered that the keys are not there, that actually the keys were in the possession of a friend of Lisa's, Oliver Simmons.
This was a red flag for detectives. Who is this guy that has Lisa's car the night that she's killed?
Within the hour, officers have tracked down Oliver Simmons.
He is pretty shocked to learn that his friend Lisa has been found dead.
Oliver and Lisa were pretty close. He probably was one of her closest friends that was here in New York.
Were you ever more than friends?
Well, we had our time.
So as the police increased their investigation into Oliver, they learned that the two were a little bit more than friends.
He admitted that they did date in the past, but it kind of fizzled out.
How'd you end up with her car?
She was just doing me a favor.
He had car problem with his car, and he borrowed it in the past. So it's not unusual. Lisa loaned it to him, and he went to work. And he came back from work, parked it opposite her house. And since he worked the late shift, he held the keys.
I was going to give them back to her yesterday afternoon when she got off work. But then she...
Detectives are inclined to believe Oliver's story until he mentions where he works.
Oliver Simmons actually works for the Port Authority.
The Port Authority not only manages New York Seaport, they're also responsible for numerous bridges and tunnels, including the George Washington Bridge.
So was it just a coincidence that she ended up in the river?
What do you mean?
Well, you used to go out, and she has another man's baby.
No. It's not like that at all.
Oliver says when he found out she was pregnant, he was happy for Lisa.
Detectives aren't quite so sure.
There were just too many things that were off about him.
Could Oliver Simmons have killed Lisa and loaded her body into her car, making a pit stop along the way?
Oliver had easy access to the river and could easily dump Lisa's body there.
Listen, we're gonna need you to sit tight for a bit while we look into some things. I need you to come with me.
Police get a warrant to search Lisa's car, but they didn't discover any evidence of foul play.
After searching Lisa's car, detectives let Oliver go. But that doesn't mean they ruled him out as a suspect.
All the search proves is that he didn't move her body in the car, and since they don't know where the crime occurred, who's to say he didn't lure Lisa out to the waterfront before killing her?
With Oliver Simmons still in their crosshairs, detectives' next move is to speak with Roscoe Glinton, the father of Lisa's unborn child.
Every detective will tell you, particularly in a homicide, the first persons they usually look to are somebody who has a relationship with the victim.
It doesn't take long for detectives to track down Roscoe at work and bring him in for questioning.
Mr. Glinton, thanks for coming in today. What's this all about? I don't know if you heard, but I have some bad news.
When police tell Roscoe that Lisa and the baby has died, he actually seems pretty devastated and broke down in tears.
I'm sorry, man. That's terrible.
It's all right. Take your time. Can I get you something?
I offered them something to drink, got him a cup of water.
Once Roscoe recovers his composure, detectives ask him about his relationship with Lisa.
So when did you and Lisa stop seeing each other?
About 8 months ago.
When was the last time you saw her?
About 3 months ago. She called me out of the blue.
She told him that she was pregnant and that he might be the father.
However, Roscoe tells detectives that he's not so sure that's true.
During my interview with him, he made a statement saying he wasn't sure he was the father because Lisa had other men in her life. That couldn't have been the father.
But if the baby turned out to be yours, would you have a problem with that?
No, I wouldn't, but my wife would.
He admits that he had just recently gotten married, and he and his new wife just had a newborn child of their own.
When you say recently, how long do you mean?
When I got married?
Yeah.
About a year ago.
He was seeing Lisa while he was married.
Did Lisa know?
No.
He apparently lived a life like he was not married, and he was able to get away with it.
Roscoe's double life provides the clearest motive yet for Lisa's murder.
Lisa had the potential to upend Roscoe's whole life.
Maybe she threatened to tell his wife.
Oh, so you want me to give you my money for a baby that might not be mine? Are you serious?
It's not a stretch to believe that he may have decided to take matters into his own hands.
NYPD detectives investigating the murder of Lisa Eatman and her unborn child have just uncovered a possible suspect, Lisa's ex-boyfriend, 42-year-old Roscoe Glinton.
He is newly married, and he and his wife have a newborn child, and his pregnant girlfriend has just wound up dead.
Police feel that this is really a strong motive for murder.
Still, Roscoe swears he had nothing to do with Lisa's death.
I don't know, but it sounds to me like things would go pretty south for you if your wife found out about Lisa.
Wait, hold up. You got this all wrong.
Okay. Where were you the night Lisa died?
So when police ask Roscoe the all-important question, where were you the night Lisa was killed, he tells detectives that he was at a bar near work at a party with some of his coworkers.
One of the co-workers was leaving. He joined the military, I think the Marines. And they were having a going-away party at a bar not too far from the garage. So all the guys were there, and he was there all night celebrating and having a good time. Then he leaves. He said he went home early in the morning.
So police let Roscoe go, but he remained the suspect until they can verify his alibi.
Roscoe's alibi isn't all detectives plan to verify.
He got up and he walked out. But he left the cup. So I took the cup to the lab.
Since detectives now have Roscoe's DNA on the cup, they can determine if he's the father of Lisa's baby.
After taking the cup to the lab, detectives spend the rest of the day running down Roscoe's story.
We interview all the guys that were at the party with co-workers, alibi him.
They also track down surveillance footage from the bar that confirms Roscoe was at the party just as he claimed.
You see Roscoe walking into the bar, ordering a drink.
While Roscoe's alibi appears to check out, detectives still have one loose end to tie up from Roscoe's story.
May I help you?
Mrs. Clinton?
Police wants to know if his wife knew anything about Lisa having a baby to see if she had a motive to kill her.
Are you aware we're investigating the murder of Lisa Eatman?
Yeah, I know. My husband told me about it last night after y'all talked to him.
Roscoe's wife tells police she did not know about Lisa or the baby until Roscoe told her after she was found dead.
Roscoe Glinton had said, "You're going to hear about this, but I promise you I had nothing to do with it."
Apparently, he also denied being the father of Lisa's baby.
Did you believe him?
I don't know.
Did you ever suspect him of having an affair?
Obviously not.
She swears that she didn't even know about the baby, Lisa, until yesterday.
So where were you the night of the 2nd and the morning of the 3rd?
I was here by myself with the kids when Roscoe went out.
The wife said that Roscoe goes into the city to go off to the party.
She tells police that she was home all night with the kids and never left the house.
However, the alibi isn't completely airtight.
She admits the kids had been asleep during the time frame that detectives believe the murder had occurred.
It's possible she slipped out and they never even noticed.
While Roscoe's wife is still on the suspect list, detectives begin pursuing other avenues. including Lisa's ex-husband, Noah Eatman.
Police learned that Lisa's ex-husband was living in California and was nowhere near New York City at the time of Lisa's death.
Or could the suspect be someone who isn't even on detectives' radar?
We got Lisa phone records to see any incoming calls while she was alive. So if she spoke to anyone, maybe that person's a suspect.
Looking through the records, detectives soon find something suspicious.
She got a call around 3 o'clock in the morning from the payphone.
Detectives wonder who calls someone at 3 a.m.
Whoever made this call was leading Lisa to her death.
2 days into the investigation of the murder of Lisa Eatman and her unborn child, NYPD detectives have uncovered what could be a crucial clue.
When police checked Lisa's phone records, they found out that she got a phone call at 3 a.m.
Police feel quite strongly that the person who made that 3 a.m. phone call is likely her killer.
It's a suspicion that only deepens when detectives trace the call to a gas station payphone near Lisa's apartment.
Most likely, the killer used the payphone rather than a cell phone, so police wouldn't be able to trace the call back to them.
Still, detectives are doing everything they can to identify the mystery caller.
We go to the location, we check for surveillance cameras and everything.
Unfortunately for detectives, it appears to be a dead end.
There were no surveillance cameras that covered the area where the phone was located.
They decide to lift fingerprints from the payphone in the hopes that it may lead them to a potential suspect. And police run the fingerprints through their computer systems, but they're not able to get any matches.
It's a bitter disappointment for detectives, who'd hoped the mystery phone call was the break they needed to find Lisa's killer.
Their disappointment fades the next morning when detectives receive an urgent phone call from a friend of Lisa's.
First thing out of her mouth was, Roscoe Glinton did it. He's a murderer. He murdered before, he murdered again. We told her to stay away from him. We warned her, but she wouldn't listen to us.
The accusation takes detectives by surprise since Roscoe has what appears to be a rock-solid alibi.
He went to that going-away party. He was there with the boys all night.
Alibi or not, the caller has information that gives Detective Vega a reason to take a closer look at Roscoe.
She said this has happened in the past. He's been a suspect of a killing in the past, and it's just too much of a coincidence that this would happen again.
So it turns out in 1998, Roscoe's first wife was murdered, and Roscoe was the police prime suspect.
I Googled Roscoe Glinton, and it lights up like a Christmas tree. I'm like, whoa. I said, we might have a serial killer in our hands.
Detectives put in a records request for the case file regarding the disappearance of Roscoe's first wife, Deborah, back in 1998.
Roscoe and Deborah lived in Newburgh at the time with their 3 children.
She worked in a dentist's office. The people who worked there contacted the police and said she's missing. So the police went to their family home. They found 3 children, no adults, and the children had said she'd left for work. But the detectives had said they found her car, they found her pocketbook, they'd found a lot of different things, which it made no sense that she would have left without.
The children had told police that the night before Deborah went missing, Roscoe and Deborah had been arguing about money.
According to the file, when Newburgh police questioned Roscoe, he denied knowing anything about his wife's disappearance.
He basically said when he got up for an early morning shift, she was sleeping on the couch, and she was still there when he left the house.
Detectives in Newburgh weren't buying it, and as they dug into Roscoe's personal life, they found even more reason to doubt his story.
Police learned that Roscoe had been having affairs with many women, and authorities discovered a diary written by Deborah in which she detailed physical abuse at the hands of Roscoe.
There was one incident in the journal that she comes home from work and Roscoe had a bath ready made for her with rose petal in the water, and she takes a bath, and Roscoe never washes his hair in the sink, but that night he did. And then he takes out a hair blower to dry up his hair, and while it was plugged, he drops the hair blower into the bathtub with his wife in it, and he says, oops, and she jumps out of the bathtub. Are you trying to kill me?
Obviously, that makes Roscoe the prime suspect in Deborah's disappearance.
But they were never able to gather any evidence that would implicate him. So the case surrounding Deborah's disappearance goes cold, and then in 2001, Deborah's remains are found in the woods, and the case is reopened as a homicide investigation.
There was, through DNA match, that's how they identify her, because it was just skeleton remains.
Unfortunately, the grim discovery did little to advance the case.
They were not able to get any evidence that might link Roscoe to her disappearance. And then Roscoe, he takes his children and moves down to Brooklyn.
Now, after reading the file, Detective Vega is more certain than ever they're zeroing in on Lisa Eatman's killer.
He's a suspect in the first murder, and now he's accused of this one. But what is the luck of that? You know, being accused twice? One is bad enough, but twice? That's a red flag.
Detectives re-interview the co-workers who were with Roscoe that night, and when pressed, they eventually admit the place was crowded and that they all had been drinking heavily.
They couldn't confirm if Roscoe was there the entire time.
So how can detectives prove Roscoe had indeed left the party the night of Lisa's murder? After putting out feelers to other law enforcement agencies, they receive a potentially crucial piece of information.
As it turns out, there was a video of that particular street because the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, was taping that area.
It's part of an unrelated investigation, but as soon as detectives find out about the existence of a tape, they get their hands on a copy.
A review of the footage reveals stunning new evidence.
Roll that back.
It shows Roscoe leaving the bar 12:45 a.m. the night Lisa died.
He claims he's there for hours. He's not. He goes there for a little while. He walks out the door. He leaves.
No sooner have detectives poked a critical hole in Roscoe's alibi, they're summoned to the sanitation facility where Roscoe works.
One of his coworkers seems shaken up by something he's seen right after the murder.
He took me to a little patio. Maybe guys have lunch up there, but the railing's right there, and you look over, and the house is right below.
The morning after the party, I saw Roscoe out here cleaning.
He said Roscoe was cleaning this area, and he never cleans. And he holds it down. He sprayed it with chemicals.
It was unusual. Like, it wasn't a place he'd usually be cleaning.
I didn't think much about it then, but now?
The sanitation garage backs up onto the river, so it's easy to dispose of the body.
Within the hour, CSIs are on the scene, searching for evidence.
They spent a great amount of time scouring this area for any DNA evidence that might link Lisa to this scene.
However, it'll be weeks before detectives get anything back from the lab, and since Roscoe had already thoroughly cleaned the area, there's no guarantee they'll find anything.
The search also extends offshore, into the murky waters of the Hudson River.
The scuba diving team for the police department went down there. They searched the bottom. They searched a large area because how far can you throw a revolver? But they didn't recover the gun.
Multiple searches of Roscoe's personal effects also come up empty.
They searched his car. They searched his house. There was nothing.
Still, convinced they found Lisa's killer, detectives keep the pressure on Roscoe.
We had a tail on him to see where he was going. If he had a storage place somewhere that maybe the gun is there. If he went somewhere else, if he spoke to someone that we don't know who he's talking to in the street with, that might lead us into some information.
Instead of information, the surveillance leads to a high-speed chase.
The two detectives, he spotted them, he just gunned it, and they gave pursuit. And he was driving like a madman, going 100 miles per hour. And he was with his daughter. He got on his car, and he panicked. He was driving like a madman, going 100 miles per hour.
They chased him and stopped him and arrested him.
He was placed under arrest for the reckless endangerment with the daughter in the car. To drive like that with your daughter in your car, crazy?
With no concrete evidence linking Roscoe to the murder, and with the DNA analysis yet to be completed, detectives subpoena Roscoe's phone records. Finally, they get the break they've been hoping for.
They learned that around 3 a.m. the night Lisa died, that Roscoe received a phone call from his wife's cell phone.
Her phone was pinging off towers that placed her at home with her daughter and stepchildren, just as she told investigators.
The cell phone was pinging a mile down the street from where Lisa lived.
The results puts him by that payphone at the exact time Lisa's getting this phone call.
Roscoe had been clever, but not clever enough.
But his undoing came when Roscoe's wife called his cell phone.
Roscoe didn't answer the call, but that didn't matter.
You're still gonna get traced. You don't have to answer the phone. He didn't realize that. Thank God he had the phone with him, and thank God his wife called him over 100 times.
Cell phones routinely communicate with the network to provide location updates. Those pings allow law enforcement to track the phone's movement with remarkable accuracy.
The phone records just traced his travels that night. He goes to Brooklyn, he goes to the payphone, and he calls Lisa. And then you see him driving from that location, from the payphone, into Manhattan, over the bridge, West Side Highway, right by his garage.
His garage was on the west side of Manhattan in the 20s.
Not that far from where Lisa's body would eventually be found.
How coincidence that he's pinging around that in the middle of the morning where Lisa's found floating in that water a couple hours later.
All signs point to Roscoe as Lisa's killer, but do detectives have enough evidence to make an arrest?
Right now, this is all speculation. Yeah, his phone was in those areas, but will that hold up in court?
They need DNA. They need a weapon. They need something concrete tying him to this crime.
With the clock ticking, detectives fear that without additional physical evidence, a cold-blooded killer might get away scot-free again.
My gut feeling, he did it. I'm hoping and praying we get a murderer off the street.
A week after the body of expecting mother Lisa Eatman was found floating in the Hudson River, NYPD detectives are convinced her ex-boyfriend, Roscoe Glinton, was behind her murder.
The pings to Roscoe's cell phone told police that he was not at the bar where he claimed to be.
The cell phone company could trace that he was outside Lisa Eatman's Brooklyn apartment.
Cell phone data from that night also puts him at the sanitation department garage overlooking the Hudson.
Roscoe somehow lured her out of the house, met her down to where he was working at, and shot her and threw her in the river.
At least that's what detectives believe. But in order to prove it, there are still a few more questions that need to be answered.
Police are wondering how Roscoe got past the night watchman at the facility.
In order to answer that question, detectives call in the man on duty the night of Lisa's murder.
Were you there all night?
Yes, I was.
But you didn't see Roscoe?
No, I did not.
Police are wondering if this night watchman was an accomplice or if Roscoe might have paid him to stay quiet.
When detectives follow up with other co-workers, they uncover a far less sinister explanation.
The night watchman was also at the bar that night.
I don't think he was supposed to be at that party. He was supposed to be working.
Multiple people saw the night watchman getting drunk.
It's another piece of the puzzle, but still not enough to charge Roscoe with murder. Finally, on April 17th, 2005, detectives received the evidence that ties the case together once and for all.
He tried to clean up the landing area by the water, but CSIs were still able to recover some evidence.
They found Lisa's DNA at that area.
He was arrested and charged with second-degree murder.
I got the call that they had picked him up. My reaction was, thank God he's been caught. He's been arrested. Now let's just hope we have enough evidence to keep him.
We didn't want to just see him get away with murder again in our eyes, because that's what it seems like he did the first time.
You know, it's unfortunate that hopefully one day New York State Police could arrest him and charge him with the murder of his first wife. I'm hoping and praying one day that's going to happen.
His previous wife, Deborah Glinton, she'd been murdered, that she'd been dumped, and nobody had been charged with this, but Roscoe Glinton had been the main suspect.
So after Roscoe is arrested, there's great turmoil in the Glinton household, and his older children begin to realize that he may have been responsible for their mom's death.
One of Roscoe's sons, basically, he said he was 75% sure that his dad had been involved. It was just too much coincidence that these two women would just disappear, and Roscoe Glinton was involved with both of them.
At his arraignment, Roscoe maintains his innocence.
Roscoe didn't admit to anything, obviously, and continued to deny that he had any involvement with either woman's killing.
He obviously pled not guilty. And when you plead not guilty, you're telling everybody, I didn't do it. There's not much more you can say.
When his case goes to trial in October of 2006, the New York press packs the courtroom, drawn by the circumstances surrounding the crime.
TV was talking about it, and the newspapers were talking about it.
So is Lisa's sister, Darlene. When the trial gets underway, she's sitting in the front row, determined to see that Roscoe goes down.
I wanted to see the pieces of the puzzle of how they were going to get him and make sure that he was really caught.
And while Roscoe's not on trial for his first wife's murder, her family is also in attendance.
They're happy he got arrested for Lisa Eatman's murder, but they still got no closure because he hasn't been arrested for that murder.
But can they at least see him go to prison? In their opening statement, prosecutors claim that Roscoe had a clear motive to murder Lisa and her unborn child.
She did talk to Roscoe and he did not want the baby.
He cleans his hands with her. So don't contact me, don't call me, don't do nothing. Lisa was fine with that.
However, according to prosecutors, Lisa did make one request of Roscoe.
She had gone to Roscoe and asked him to help her with child support.
I just need you to do your part. That's it.
What you mean do my part?
It was all about money. Roscoe didn't want to pay child support. That's basically what it comes down to.
You know what? You're not getting a dime from me.
I don't have time for this. We'll see what the judge says, okay?
In New York, if you work for the city, they're taking that money out of your check. It's not like, oh, I'll see you in 2 weeks, I get your money. No. It comes right out of your check, especially if you go to court.
Prosecutors say that in the early morning hours of April 3rd, Roscoe put in motion his plan to make sure Lisa never made it to court.
The night of the murder, Roscoe calls Lisa from the gas station payphone.
Hey, we need to talk.
That could be how he lured her out of the house, to have a conversation about the child support.
He'd somehow managed to get her to come to the sanitation garage.
So, are we gonna talk or what? It's getting cold out here.
I honestly think that he had good intentions that night, trusting that he wouldn't harm her, especially being 8 months pregnant.
But prosecutors say that Lisa had fatally misjudged Roscoe's character.
He shoots her in the back of the head and then dumps her body over the railing into the river.
He sees her floating away. He thinks he's good.
To support their claims, prosecutors point to cell phone records tracking Roscoe's movements the night of the murder, as well as the sample of Lisa's DNA they found along the railing where Roscoe allegedly dumped her body. But that's not the only physical evidence prosecutors have on Roscoe.
He had left a cup behind at the police station, and they had pulled his DNA from it.
I took the cup to the lab, and 99.9 after the results conducted he was the father of the baby.
When it's their turn, Roscoe's defense team claims that the cell phone records and DNA evidence only place Roscoe and Lisa in the vicinity of one another on the night in question. Nothing more.
This was clearly a circumstantial evidence case.
They searched every square inch for evidence and find nothing.
They never found the weapon either, so there wasn't much of anything concrete to connect Roscoe to this murder.
The defense is doing what it can to sort of create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury, and they spend a lot of time trying to poke holes in the prosecution's case.
They basically claimed the real killer had never been caught.
Roscoe's attorneys even go so far as to suggest who they think the real killer might be. Lisa's ex-boyfriend, Oliver Simmons, the man who'd borrowed her car on the night of the murder.
Her ex-boyfriend happened to work at the Port Authority, which is also on the far west side, near the Hudson River.
It's a compelling argument, but ultimately, the jury doesn't buy it.
They found him guilty in 90 minutes. That's very quick.
Roscoe is sentenced to 25 years to life in prison.
I was very happy. We just got justice for Lisa Eatman and her family.
I am just glad that he was caught on my sister's behalf and on Deborah's behalf and on anybody else who would have followed, because he would have done it again, definitely, because he got away with it the first time. He thought he was going to get away with it the second time.
While Roscoe's conviction brings closure to Lisa Eatman's family, it will never heal the hole in their hearts left behind by her absence, and that of her unborn son.
Marcielle was devastated. Nothing could bring her mother back, but her family did their best to keep Lisa's memory alive for her.
Lisa was everything to us. A piece of her, of course, is still here with us, but we really miss her.
I had no idea something like this could have happened. I miss my sister so much. Lisa always saw the good in everybody and everything.
I love mine. To this day, I still love her. She was beautiful. She had a good heart. It's just sad that Jaden never got a chance to breathe on this earth. I wish it just never happened. I wish it was all a dream and we would wake up and say, oh, Lisa's still alive. She's still being Lisa, but she's gone. Her daughter misses her, her mom, her sisters. Everybody misses her.
When a dashing officer and a beautiful deputy jailer join forces, it seems like a match made in heaven.
I think they had an attraction because they both worked in law enforcement. He was sort of this charming guy, so they started dating, and I think she fell pretty hard.
But just when their lives seem destined for greatness, an unexpected disappearance upends their world.
There was a buzz in the city about a missing police officer.
We knew something bad probably gonna come after this.
As investigators search for answers, they'll soon find themselves plunged into uncharted waters. A place where secrets bubble just under the surface and deadly sins flow like blood.
There are drugs, there's a lot of criminal activity. Officers are often the targets of bad people.
His one vice was probably that he liked women a little too well.
He's coming towards her, and that's what happens.
It just was a bad situation. Never should have happened.
They got away with a capital murder.
Monday, September 4th, 2006. It's Labor Day weekend in Memphis, Tennessee. All across town, families are enjoying end-of-summer barbecues. But at the home of Ethel Hayes, the absence of her beloved son Tony, a 9-year veteran of the Memphis Police Department, is putting a damper on the festivities.
He hasn't contacted any of you and said he wasn't coming?
I hadn't talked to him today, but last I heard, he said he was coming.
She supposed to been picking up his son and bring him to the barbecue too. And he never did show up.
That kind of alarmed the family that he didn't pick his son up because there are certain things Tony would not do, and not picking up his son was one of them. He loved his son very much, and he spent as much time as he could with his son.
Over the next few hours, Tony's family continues to try to track him down.
Did he answer? Every time I call, I just get the voicemail. I'm telling you, something's not right. It's not right.
My grandma was start calling everybody that she knew that knew Tony and see could they get in touch with him.
No one knew where Tony was.
But the disappearance of Officer Tony Hayes is a mystery that's only beginning to unfold. One that'll have many wondering just who in this story was on the wrong side of the law.
We was just saying, why? How could something happen like this? Everything was just crazy.
Tony Hayes was born in 1969 in the new Chicago neighborhood of Memphis, Tennessee.
It was a low-income neighborhood, but there was a sense of pride in the community. Even though it was low-income, our parents instilled values in us.
Values that the whole Hayes family took to heart.
The Hayes family was a very loving, caring family. Mother Hayes, she did not play with her children. They knew that she was their friend, but she was also the law in that household.
In this strict yet caring environment, Tony grew up to be a model citizen.
He was a 1987 graduate of Manassas High School.
He was just a very disciplined person.
After high school, Tony went off to the Marine Corps. He served his country during the Persian Gulf War, and I think maybe saw himself becoming a law enforcement officer.
A dream that came true after Tony left the Marine Corps and returned home to Memphis.
When Tony became a Memphis police officer, that was a sense of pride and accomplishment for him. It's a very desired position. It's a very desired career here in Memphis.
For the next 9 years, Tony worked some of the most dangerous beats in the city.
Tony was an undercover cop. He do his job to the fullest, and he was a hard worker. You know, he didn't want nobody to give him nothing, you know. He had to work for it and do it the right way.
He ultimately arose to the rank of sergeant and was proud of that accomplishment, as was his family.
But Tony's success in life extended well beyond the workplace.
You know, guys, I'm gonna go there.
He also fared well with the ladies.
Good evening, ladies. How you doing?
He was about 6'1" in height and very athletically built. And he was all muscle. And it wasn't no fat. He wore nice clothes. And he was a car enthusiast. So, you know, he loved cars. He always had a nice car and kept himself up. So like I said, the ladies probably found Tony very attractive.
Like his prized cars, Tony had a soft spot for beautiful women. And over the next few years, he married twice.
He met his first wife after he got out of the military. She was drop dead gorgeous, as was his second wife.
Though both marriages ended in divorce, there was a silver lining.
Even though the breakups were hard, Tony's second wife blessed him with a son, and that son became the light of his life.
He was very involved in his son's life. Many times I remember when I would see Tony, he would have his son with him. He was very crazy about his son. It looked like he was Tony's mini-me.
He was an excellent father, spent a lot of time with his son, and really provided a great role model for that young man.
To build a nest egg for himself and his son, Tony worked additional jobs.
He moonlighted at nightclubs and at apartment complexes serving as a security guard.
That is very typical for police officers to work to get paid well to do it.
Though Tony was a loving father, he longed to have a woman in his life to help him raise young Devin. And in the spring of 2005, Tony met the drop-dead gorgeous 36-year-old Monique Johnson.
Tony Hayes met Monique Johnson while he was moonlighting as a security guard at the apartment complex where she lived.
I'm Tony.
It's really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, beautiful.
Monique would be what a lot of people considered very attractive. She described herself as light-skinned with long hair and having it going on.
Tony was really taken by her appearance.
For Monique, the attraction was mutual.
Dinner sometime?
Yeah, sure.
He was sort of this kind of charming guy, so they started dating, and I think she fell pretty hard for Tony. He would take her out to eat. They were spending every day together. He would send her flowers.
But as the couple ignited their romance, it didn't take Tony long to realize that Monique may be more than just a passing fling.
There's no doubt Monique and Tony had a lot in common.
Monique Johnson was a native of the region, had a hard upbringing, but managed to bring herself up by her own bootstraps. She was married and divorced, had 2 children.
Like Tony, Monique also shared a passion for law enforcement.
Monique worked as a deputy jailer for the Shelby County Sheriff's Department.
She was a member of the DRT team, the direct response team that deals with unruly inmates. She was selected out of many, many other prison guards for that position. It's an elite group.
Having so much in common only heightened the couple's attraction to one another. But it was in the bedroom where the sparks really flew.
It became incredibly passionate, and it moved very quickly.
It was passionate, hot, and it seemed perfect. They were planning a future.
Though both Tony and Monique had tried and failed at marriage before, by the spring of 2006, the couple was talking engagement rings and wedding vows.
Tony was telling Monique, hey, one day we're going to get married and have this family.
They both believed that a part that had been missing in their lives had been completed.
In light of Tony's newfound happiness, his disappearance on September 4th, 2006 is even more concerning.
We want to know, why would he do this? Why he want to answer his phone, and why he want to call nobody and tell somebody where he at?
The following morning, Tony is absent from roll call at the Memphis Police's Union Station precinct, which makes his fellow officers extremely worried.
Has anybody seen Hayes?
By all accounts, Tony was a model officer, and when he failed to show up for his shift, alarm bells started to go off.
That was something unlike Tony, not to report for duty. That's when it kind of became a time that people were getting kind of concerned.
The police, to say the least, were taking Tony's disappearance very seriously.
But just what had happened to Officer Tony Hayes?
Try calling him again?
His colleagues and friends are determined to find out.
The Memphis Police Department was going to be very aggressive about it. We knew that it was going to be passionate for them as it was for us to seek what they thought was justice.
After a blissful year together, Deputy Jailer Monique Johnson and Police Officer Tony Hayes were already talking marriage.
Tony and Monique fell in love hard, and it was fast.
They appeared to be happy and a good match.
But now, on September 6, 2006, Tony's been missing for more than 24 hours, and his colleagues at the Memphis Police Department are growing increasingly concerned.
The last time that his family had seen or spoken to Tony was on the afternoon of September the 3rd. He was supposed to come to a family picnic the next day, but he failed to show up. Tony goes missing, and it does become a big deal quickly.
When a high-ranking police officer goes missing, especially one who normally shows up all the time and on time, that really causes concern because there's a whole world of possibilities to what they're exposed to.
Because of Tony's occupation, both as a police officer and the fact that he worked as security at the apartment complex, gave him exposure to a lot of volatile situations.
While Tony was missing, there were several scenarios discussed within the police department amongst his friends and family. Did someone put out a hit on Tony? Was it the result of some sort of investigation in which he was involved? He had participated in a sizable burglary bust or some ring that was developed at some point in the days before he went missing.
A family member of someone that he helped put in jail for murder could get mad and go track him down and kill him. One of the gangs that he's trying to keep the kids out of could kidnap him and beat him to death. Did one of the defendants he'd messed with on the job come and done him in? So they were looking. The police were actively looking everywhere they could.
While detectives comb through Tony's arrest records in search of a lead, a team of officers execute a search of his home.
There's no evidence of foul play, but a search of his residence revealed his Lexus is missing from the garage.
Car's gone.
Police were looking for those plates in that car.
By that afternoon, Tony's disappearance is the talk of the town.
Missing persons reports typically get some media coverage depending on who is missing. But when a Memphis police officer, a person in charge of protecting the community, is now missing, it certainly got our attention and was quickly on the TV news, radio news, even in the newspaper.
Though Tony Hayes' loved ones are grateful for the attention, their fears continue to mount.
I tried to be optimistic, but after a day had went by and he hadn't called his mom, he hadn't checked in on his son, it became very evident that something was wrong.
No one seems more concerned about Tony's disappearance than his beloved girlfriend, Monique Johnson.
She was expressing her worry over Tony because she had called him several times and kept getting his machine. And so she said it was very unusual because if he wouldn't call back, he would text back.
But Monique's other pressing concern is the well-being of Tony's 11-year-old son, Devin.
She decided she'd check on the son. And so she got a French fries and the hamburger and took that over.
How are you doing, kiddo?
I just wish I knew where my dad was.
Me too.
Later that evening, investigators get their first chance to speak to Monique Johnson at her home in a brand new suburban development.
When was the last time that you actually saw Tony?
Well, that would have had to have been the morning of Monday, September 4th.
She said that they went to the casinos and they stayed down there that night and that they came back and that he was going to pick up the son.
Was that the last time you heard from him?
Yes, and I went to the movies that night. When I got out, I heard that Tony had been missing.
Have you ever had any kind of problems in your relationship with Tony?
No, not at all. I love him so much. And I really just hope that you guys find him.
As a deputy jailer in Shelby County, Monique knew the dangers of law enforcement. She was extremely worried about Tony's whereabouts, and she was hoping that everything would turn out okay.
They checked her story out, and she had gone out to see a movie the night of Tony's disappearance.
But before detectives leave that evening, they ask Monique one last question.
One angle we're still pursuing is that his disappearance was work-related. So had he mentioned anything to you about work lately? Any issues?
Actually, there is.
Look, I ain't got time to be standing out here all night. Come on, open the door. Stop playing.
She remembers something happening at the apartments where he had to pull a gun on a guy and the guy threatened him.
Yo, I need you to calm down now. Leave the premises now, son. I'll see you later, partner. I'll be back.
This was the apartment complex where Tony moonlighted. So there was some fear that something could have happened there.
He was essentially off duty and alone and far more susceptible. A lot of the apartment complexes that required this sort of security are already known to have a violent element, which is why they have the security force on staff all the time anyways.
While detectives dispatch a team to investigate Monique's allegations, they return to their station for a scheduled meeting with some of Tony's closest colleagues.
They thought Tony's coworkers might know something about problems with former perps.
But what Tony's co-workers are about to reveal will stun detectives, leaving them to wonder if this top cop had actually been living a double life.
This isn't the kind of thing you'd expect to turn up, and detectives realized it was going to be a game changer.
Memphis police officer Tony Hayes seemed to have it all. A great career, a beautiful son, and a stunning girlfriend who set his heart aflame. But now Tony has disappeared without a trace, and detectives fear that he may have been targeted by a violent criminal with an axe to grind.
Police put themselves out there every day. Just going to work, it's possible they could be shot just for wearing the uniform. And so there is a great deal of risk.
Monique told police that Tony had recently been threatened by a guy at the apartment complex where Tony moonlighted.
But while searching for the mystery man who threatened Tony, detectives are also questioning Tony's colleagues at the Memphis Police Department.
The priority is to find Tony.
Yes.
And so I'm just here to ask you if you have anything you can share with us.
Anything could have happened to him, but his personal life is pretty complicated too.
What do you mean exactly?
That's when Tony's colleagues informed detectives that technically, Tony never officially divorced his ex-wife, Kayla Hayes.
During the investigation, Memphis PD discovers that Tony Hayes is married.
Tony's colleagues don't know, however, if Tony's wife knew about Monique or if Monique knew about Tony's wife.
At this point, detectives can't help but wonder, could Tony have been murdered by his own wife?
Did she find out about his cheating and devious ways and decide to get her own revenge?
Thank you very much.
To answer that question, they decide to speak to Tony's wife, Kayla Hayes.
They learn that she is actually living and working in Las Vegas.
After contacting their counterparts at the Vegas PD, a local detective heads to Kayla's home.
Miss Hayes? I'm with the Las Vegas Police Department. Do you mind if I come in and speak with you for a moment?
Is this about Tony?
Yes, it is.
Come on.
Kayla explains that a couple of days earlier, she had received word from Tony's family that he had gone missing.
When was the last time you spoke with Tony?
Honestly, it had been a while.
Kayla explains that they had been separated for about a year and 4 months. In fact, they had only been married for about 3 months before that.
We lived together in Memphis, but it was clear really early on that it just wasn't going to work out.
She said they wanted different things out of life, but apparently, Tony had a wandering eye.
His one vice was probably that he liked women a little too well. He was what could be called a player. He liked to meet women, he liked to talk to them, and he evidently had a charming personality and could capture their attention fairly easily.
Were you aware he was seeing a woman named Monique Johnson?
Oh yeah, unfortunately, we'd spoke.
His wife was calling to talk to Tony. And since Monique had Tony's phone, she answered. And the wife's going, "Who are you?" And Monique's going, "Who are you?" She goes, "Well, I'm his wife." Well, that didn't sit well with Monique.
Monique was livid, and she made it clear that Tony was going to have his head handed to him.
And how did you feel that he was seeing another woman?
Look, I have my life and he has his.
Kayla was adamant that she had nothing to do with Tony's disappearance and that she was in Las Vegas September 4th. And when they checked the car and flight records, her story checked out.
While Tony's wife Kayla seems innocent of any wrongdoing, her statement prompts detectives in Memphis to pay another visit to Tony's girlfriend, Monique Johnson.
They go back to Monique and they confront her about what they know at this point.
Monique doesn't deny any of it. She admits that she was furious when she found out that Tony was married.
When were you going to tell me?
Babe, listen to me.
No. When were you going to tell me? When were you going to tell me that you were married?
I'm sorry, I just didn't know how to tell you. It was over months before we met each other. Monique, it's just me and you.
According to Monique, Tony reassured her that she had nothing to worry about. Eventually, they reconciled, and since then, they hadn't had any other problems.
Detectives aren't sure what to make of Monique's story, but with no sign of Tony and no evidence of foul play, there's little else they can do.
They had a feeling Monique wasn't telling the whole story, but a feeling isn't grounds for an arrest.
While Monique remains adamant she has no idea what happened to Tony, investigators wonder if Tony's phone records might shed more light on his disappearance.
They pulled Tony's phone records and see he had gotten a text from a woman at 7 a.m. But this woman wasn't Monique Johnson.
Her name was Kim Chapman. So, of course, the next question from police is, who is this woman? What's her connection to Tony Hayes?
That afternoon, detectives ask Kim Chapman to come to the station for an interview. When Kim arrives, she makes quite the impression.
She was very different from Monique. She was a professional woman. She was about 6 feet tall. She had a large frame.
Detectives want to know what her connection is to Tony Hayes. And she says they've been casually dating for the past few months.
The reason we called you in is because we've obtained phone records indicating you had contact with Tony on the date of his disappearance.
Yeah, I texted him because I wanted to go jogging. I was seeing if he was able to come with me.
According to Kim, she got a call back from Tony's phone a short time later. But the voice on the other end of the line wasn't what she expected.
What Kim reveals next will dramatically alter the course of the investigation into Tony Hayes' disappearance and illuminate just how sordid and potentially deadly his love life had become.
I think he was a fun-loving guy, a good guy, but someone who played the field too much. He just played with the wrong one.
For more than 48 hours, police in Memphis, Tennessee have been desperately trying to track down their missing colleague, Tony Hayes. The search for Tony has led investigators to a trio of beautiful young women, including Tony's wife, Kayla, his girlfriend, Monique Johnson, and the young woman now seated across from them at the station, Kim Chapman.
Kim Chapman admitted she and Tony were seeing each other and that she had texted him to go jogging the day he went missing. Investigators want to know if she had anything to do with his disappearance.
The last contact that you had with Tony was that text?
Well, I got a call back from someone else. I don't know who she is. Her name was Monique.
Hello? Kim says she answered the phone expecting it to be Tony, but instead, somebody else was on the line. Monique Johnson.
Monique says, "What are you doing getting together with Tony?" And Kim's going, "Whoa, who are you and why do you care?"
And Monique said, "Well, who are you? I'm Tony's girlfriend. Well, he's been with me all weekend. Did you know about me?"
Kim claims the call dropped moments later, but not before she heard another voice in the background.
Tony!
Kim says she heard Tony's voice, and he was angry. And Monique was just giving it right back to him.
Monique Johnson had previously told police she had no reason to harm Tony. But if Kim Chapman's statement is true, detectives have proof that Monique and Tony got in a heated argument just hours before he disappeared.
The detectives don't think this is a coincidence.
That evening, investigators bring Monique in for questioning a third time and confront her about Kim's allegations.
We're going to give you one last chance to be honest with us and tell us what really happened to Tony Hayes.
I don't know. Ms. Johnson, we talked to Kim Chapman. She told us that the day that Tony disappeared, you and him got into a scuffle.
Monique knows she's in a really bad place. So she says, okay, I'll talk.
And that's where the snowball began to melt.
Monique says that after she confronted Tony about his marriage to Kayla Hayes, he assured her there were no other women in his life. But over time, Monique began to doubt that he was truly faithful to her.
There were some flags. It would be unexplained absences or a refusal to really acknowledge where he'd been or what he'd been doing, or phone calls that he couldn't take.
Monique became suspicious of his behavior and eventually started to do her own investigation. And that sort of started the ball rolling of this roller coaster rocky relationship.
That's when tempers began to flare on both sides. He became very adamant about it not happening, or angry that she didn't trust him, and she was very angry that he wasn't trustworthy.
Monique claims that the situation came to a head the morning Tony disappeared.
The phone is going off, and she is compelled by the mistrust to look at the phone. And it is a text.
Monique says the text was from one Kim Chapman.
Monique said in her statement that she was tired of being played around with.
She couldn't take it no more. She was just real jealous, and, she just wanted him for herself.
At that point, things broke in a very bad way for everyone involved. She grabbed the phone and left Tony's house while he was in the shower and jumped in her car and began to call the female.
According to Monique, she was driving to her house while on the phone with Kim, and by the time she pulled into her garage, she was boiling mad.
Who the hell is this? While Monique is having this conversation with Kim, she spots Tony in her rearview mirror. He's caught up to her and wants his phone back.
Give me the damn phone. Give me the damn phone. I'm not playing with you, I'm serious. Give me the damn phone.
According to Monique, that's when Tony lunged at her.
She doesn't think he's coming for the phone. She thinks he's coming for her.
She described it, Tony hit her this time.
Get out the car.
Monique claims Tony's aggressive behavior was so terrifying that she feared for her life. That's when she reached for Tony's .40 caliber handgun, which he'd recently left under the passenger seat of her car.
And that's when it happens. She remembers the first shot, and that's about all she remembers.
I was so scared.
She asserts she acted in self-defense.
But if Monique had truly acted in self-defense, why is this the first time detectives are hearing this story?
From her perspective, because Tony was a police officer and he was well respected in the police department, so she was afraid to go and confess to the same people that he worked with.
Monique says that in a panic, she turned to the only person she could think of, her son from a previous marriage, 16-year-old Donald Wallace.
After Tony is shot and killed, Monique enlists the help of her son to remove Tony's body from the home, stuff him in the trunk of his own Lexus.
She told her son, basically, come help me. We got to carry Tony out of here. And made the son an accomplice to that act. I mean, what a horrible thing to do to your 16-year-old.
Detectives push Monique to tell them where Tony's body is. Monique does them one better. She takes them to the East Memphis apartment complex where she and her son Donald abandoned the vehicle.
Monique agreed to get in the squad car with the police officers. They placed her in the squad car, and she took them directly to Tony's Lexus. And the body was in the trunk of that vehicle.
They backed it in so no one would notice the license plates.
That body had been sitting there for 4 days in this Memphis heat, and it was highly deformed. It was very hard to look at the body and even tell that it was Tony.
While CSIs process the car, detectives break the tragic news to Tony's family.
The police department came over there and told her that Monique Johnson has confessed to what happened, and she knew where Tony was at, that she put him in the trunk of his car, her and her son.
Mother Hay was devastated. You know, so many hopes and dreams are lost when your child is gone and you know he's not going to come back. And it's especially when it's due to violence. It just hurts more.
With Monique's confession, this deputy jailer now finds herself behind bars.
They wouldn't hold her in the facility that she worked in for fear that some of the inmates may retaliate against her. So they held her in one of the outlying suburbs.
Though she doesn't expect to be there for long.
She remained adamant that this was purely a case of self-defense and that she was the victim, not Tony.
But soon, an unlikely witness will step forward with new information. Information that threatens to turn the whole case upside down.
It's so inexcusable. It's not just the public doesn't understand, nobody understands.
On Friday, September 8th, 2006, in a Memphis police station, Monique Johnson confessed to shooting her boyfriend, police officer Tony Hayes, in a heated argument inside the garage of her home. A shooting Monique insists she only committed in self-defense.
She claims he lunged at her, struck her, attacked her, and she defended herself.
Tony's body was found in the trunk of that car. It had been seen. This was during the hottest months of the year.
It had rotted so much. The decomposition was so extreme.
To find out if there's any truth to Monique's story, investigators bring in the young man who helped Monique move Tony's body, her 16-year-old son, Donald.
Your mother told us that you helped her carry Tony's body.
Donald, because of that, at this point, we're going to be charging you with accessory after the fact, okay? However, if you're willing to cooperate with us, there's a chance that we can get you off or help at least cut you a deal. Okay.
Donald starts by telling detectives where to find the gun used in the shooting. It's in a garbage dumpster at an East Memphis apartment complex.
It was Tony's personal weapon, a .40 caliber pistol.
But that isn't all Donald tells police. He also makes a chilling revelation about the hours following Tony's death.
There was a time period after the shooting where Monique and her son left. They went to TGI Fridays, and then they went to a movie with some family members and saw snakes on a plane.
She went to dinner and a movie and enjoyed herself while her supposed boyfriend is starting to rot.
Was this the behavior simply of a woman in shock? Or was Monique actively trying to establish an alibi for herself in order to throw police off her trail? What Donald says next gives investigators a possible clue. In fact, he claims he was in the house at the time of the shooting.
Mom? He hears a series of gunshots go off in his own house, and he is instinctively terrified of what has happened to his mother.
Mom, what's going on? Mom, what did you do to him? He eventually gets into the bedroom and discovers his mother frantic by that point, and Tony lying on the floor bleeding.
The significance of that statement is that it directly contradicts Monique's version of events. She claims the shooting took place in the garage.
Police execute a search warrant of Monique's home, but at first there seems to be a problem with young Donald's story.
There was no blood. No blood up in that bathroom or bedroom. No bullets. There was no sign of any struggle whatsoever. There was a clean bathroom and a clean bedroom. Nothing disturbed.
But as investigators take a closer look at the scene, they spot something unusual about the doors leading to the bathroom.
The paint didn't actually match up with the same paint that Monique had on her house. So you could tell that there had been one of the doors replaced in her home.
Detectives confront Monique about the new doors in her house, as well as the discrepancy between Donald's statement and her own version of what happened.
Evidently, there was some problems in her statement.
Once again, Monique changes her story. She now claims that her fight began in the garage, but ended inside the house.
That whirlwind proceeds into the house. And at this point, Monique just wants to get away. She wants to be away from this situation. Tony's following her.
Monique says she fled to the safety of her master bedroom, but Tony forced his way inside.
He slams the door, locks it, and she feels a fist hit her in the back of the head. And that's when Tony starts telling her, "You're not going anywhere."
Monique claims that before she knew what was happening, Tony was physically assaulting her. Thankfully, she managed to escape into the bathroom, but Tony didn't stop coming for her.
She's really getting scared, and she's telling him, "Tony, just leave me alone. Tony, go." And he's coming into the bathroom towards her.
Monique said, in the past, he had abused me, and he had gotten mad at me, but I'd never seen him like this.
Finally, she finds her way back to her master closet, just behind the bathroom, and that's where her gun is.
She felt like she had nowhere to hide, nowhere to go, and nothing to do other than to defend herself. And that's what she did.
After the first shot, she describes herself as going into a state of shock. She's unable to really accurately describe the physicality of what happened, the number of bullets that come out of the gun. What she knows is she is left with the person that she loves the most laying dead on her bathroom floor covered in blood.
In the aftermath that followed, Monique says she noticed a bullet hole in one of the bathroom doors.
Monique went to one of the empty homes or model homes in the neighborhood and took one of the doors out of another model home and brought it and put it back on her bathroom door.
All the while, Monique's son was helping her do this.
Just grab his feet and help me.
But Monique insists that she only concocted her first story to try to minimize her son's role in the shooting.
She doesn't want Donald involved. She doesn't want him to go to jail. She wanted him out of it. Donald didn't ask for any of this.
She was a mother trying to protect her son.
For Memphis authorities, Monique's shifting story casts serious doubt on her claims of self-defense.
Her story keeps changing. First, the argument and the shooting take place in the garage. Then, it had happened upstairs in her bedroom.
Later that day, the coroner's office releases Tony's autopsy report, and it casts even more doubt over Monique's statement.
He was shot 6 times. 4 bullets entered through his back, 1 through his chest, and 1 through his head at a downward angle. This woman, who's 5'6", was supposedly cowering from a 6'1" man.
4 shots in the back, 1 in the head, a downward projectile. So what does that look like? It looks like she's standing over him, executing him, and 1 in the chest.
There was no doubt in the state's mind that this was a premeditated murder.
Since the statement from Monique's son Donald helped investigators get closer to the truth, they grant him some leeway on the accessory charges.
Donald was kept out of this trial. His case was handled separately in another division. He was placed on judicial diversion for his role, and he was really given a great opportunity to move forward with his life.
But prosecutors plan to pursue Monique with the full force of the law. On February 9, 2007, Monique Johnson is indicted on first-degree murder charges.
If she was convicted, she could spend the rest of her life in prison.
But was this truly the slam-dunk case that prosecutors believed? Or was Monique Johnson and her defense team saving the best version of her ever-changing story for last?
Everyone, again, they rushed to judgment. And all we could say was, you just wait until you hear the full story before you make your judgment on Monique Johnson.
In Memphis, Monique Johnson insists she acted in self-defense when she shot and killed her boyfriend, police officer Tony Hayes. But prosecutors believe Monique murdered Tony in cold blood.
The crux of this case essentially revolves around whether or not Monique Johnson was the victim, the perpetrator, or both of intimate partner violence.
Before the case even makes it to trial, sparring begins between the prosecution and defense. At a pretrial hearing, Monique's legal team tries to keep crime scene photos out of court.
The pictures that were taken of the car and the trunk when they opened it and found Tony Hayes there were particularly graphic. And it was the state's contention that it was essential that the jury see these pictures. Because this is in fact what she did to him. This is what Monique did to Tony.
But according to the defense, these photos had nothing to do with how Tony was murdered and were just the byproduct of decomposition in the sweltering Memphis heat.
We were able to keep some of those pictures out because they were pretty nasty and pretty ugly.
The judge did not let any pictures of his body to go to the jury. I knew that was going to hurt us with the jury because pictures speak 1,000 words and jurors want to see them.
On February 12, 2008, Monique Johnson's murder trial gets underway inside a packed Shelby County courtroom.
It's a case that's captured the public's fascination, probably because it does involve an attractive couple, one of whom's a police officer and the other's a correctional officer. You'd expect them to behave better.
In their opening statements, prosecutors portray Monique as a scorned, jealous lover who was out for revenge against her two-timing boyfriend.
Tony did have a reputation for playing around with women. And I don't think she wanted to be played with. She was angry.
So angry, in fact, that when Monique discovered Kim Chapman's text message on September 4th, 2006, the beautiful femme fatale concocted a plan to exact the ultimate revenge against her unfaithful boyfriend.
The state feels like Monique's state of mind was. She was, in essence, creating a trap. Monique wanted to trap him back in her bedroom.
Tony was shot 6 times, including a round that was fired in a downward trajectory. As far as the state was concerned, that seriously undermined Monique's story of self-defense.
Then there's Monique's evasive actions in the aftermath of the shooting. She lied to police, she hid his body and the weapon used to kill him, and cleaned up the scene.
In the eyes of the government, she was a liar. She had killed an unarmed man. She had cleaned up the evidence, hid the body, went to the movies.
But Monique's defense team asserts their client did have a legitimate reason to be scared of Tony Hayes that morning.
The defense team essentially stated that she was a battered woman and was acting in self-defense.
She said maybe 3 months into the relationship was the first episode of abuse. A few months later, there's this next episode. And eventually it was more frequent.
She talks about being trapped in the house. She talks about forced sexual behavior that is very, very dark.
They made it appear to be as if she was in fear of her life in many instances.
To bolster their claims of abuse, the defense calls several members of Monique's family to the witness stand.
They testified that they had seen marks on her neck and on her thighs. She had never told any of them that she was abused, which is very common for women that are in abusive relationships.
Monique's defense team also claimed that she had a history of being in abusive relationships, which made it impossible for her to escape the cycle of violence.
She came from a place where abusive relationships were the standard and not the exception. And so a dark part of her, she felt she deserved that to happen to her.
Many people, if they've been abused, especially if they've been repeatedly abused, it can almost become like a norm, the emotional numbing component. But at times there may be a moment where they determine that they're not willing to take any more abuse. In those instances, you can see them retaliate, oftentimes in an excessive or extreme manner. And in some cases, as a result, you can have the abuser even being killed.
But for prosecutors, as well as Tony's friends and family, the abuse allegations don't hold much water.
The reason Monique said that she pulled the trigger, that my uncle was abusive, but no police report on domestic violence or nothing like that ever happened.
I knew Tony for 32 years. I never knew him to ever hit a lady. I think Monique was just trying to come up with a defense.
In fact, prosecutors say if anyone in the relationship had a history of violence, it was Monique. As proof, they point to a report Tony filed against her in May of 2006.
In a fit of jealous rage, Monique cut Tony's clothes, carved obscenities into his headboard and into the side of his car. cut the electrical cords on his appliances, and poured baby oil into his shoes.
Tony did call police, though he didn't go forward with charges.
So it was clear in the state's mind that he was the victim. He was the one who was being psychologically abused.
So was Monique Johnson a violent and vindictive lover like prosecutors claim? Or is she, as the defense suggests, a victim of abuse? On Valentine's Day 2008, jurors got to hear Monique's side of the story firsthand.
I was very concerned that Monique probably should not take the stand. But in trying to establish self-defense, the jury would need to hear from Monique. They would need to understand her mental state.
She would start crying when presented with certain things, like her prior vandalism. She would go, well, you know, he just did so much to make me so angry, and I felt like I could never be free of him. And it was all her being oppressed.
I would ask her, did you love Tony? And she would start bawling and say, yeah, I loved him. I didn't want to hurt him. I didn't want him to die. It became pretty clear that she wasn't just this cold, calculating killer, but was truly someone who was in love with Tony and didn't know how to get away from it.
But who would the jury find more credible? Monique and her emotional testimony, or the state and its physical and circumstantial evidence? On February 15th, they hand down their verdict.
She wasn't found guilty of first-degree murder, but a lesser charge of reckless homicide, which carries a 2 to 4 year sentence.
For prosecutors and Tony's family, it's a crushing defeat.
It was just like someone had knocked all the air out of me. Really? Did we hear this right? This can't be true.
The real victim of domestic violence in this situation was Tony Hayes. He lost his life. He was shot 6 times, and she got away with murder.
For Monique Johnson, the verdict is better than anything she could have imagined.
That was a huge win for us. Huge. Probably one of the best verdicts I've received in my lifetime as a trial attorney.
Ultimately, Monique was sentenced to 4 years in prison. After taking into account the 2 years she had already served, she only has to serve another 2.
And though Monique Johnson is now a free woman, her verdict is still a deeply divisive subject in Memphis. In a story rife with infidelity and mistrust, at least both sides can still agree on one thing.
There are no winners here. This was just ugly. These two never should have been together.